I'm Cindy from bdancewear.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take a pair of pants and add a stripe in it. This also works with long sleeve shirts, anything. The principle is the same on all of it. So if you're looking to just add a little flair to a pair of pants, make it a little more funky, this just might be the video for you. So the way we're going to do this, let's get started and put this over here. I'm going to show you with contrasting fabrics. It'll be really easy. I'm going to do it with this navy pair, and we'll put an orange slice in it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get the right size pant for whoever it is. You're going to want to determine where you want to make that seam. I would say put it on whoever it's for. Like, do you want it on the thigh? Do you want it on the knee? So then once you have that pin line down, you're going to want to mark that line. Now here's your other question. What fabric do you want? Do you want it just a different texture but the same color, or do you want a completely different fabric? How wide do you want that? So on this particular one, I cut it at 4.5 inches wide. That gave me some seam allowance, a 1/4 inch on each side, plus then I had to allow seam allowance on the pant itself. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right where we marked where we want these pants to be. Then I'm going to take the bottom. Now I want to allow for a seam allowance, so I can't just cut out 4.5 inches because the stripe's 4.5 inches. On the stripe, a 1/2 inch of that is allowed for seam allowance, a 1/4 inch on each side. So that means in this I have to allow for seam allowance also, a 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to cut 3.5 inch stripe out of this. You have to be careful. You want to make sure it all matches up exactly how much your seam allowance is, or you'll have one pair of pants that is shorter than the other. So I'm going to take this, set it over here. I'm going to take the orange that we want to put in the center. I'm going to put that stripe down, and remember we want to have seam allowance on both sides. So I'm going to add 1 inch on the stripe to each side, because then when I put this down, so if you want a different size stripe, cut it out, put it on here, but allow the seam allowance. So I'm going to go up 1 inch on each side of this strip. And then what I'm going to do is, when it comes to this end part, I want to make sure I have a seam allowance there. I want to make sure and spread this out. I want it to be the same. If your pants narrow like this, make sure, and it's not a straight line, make sure you put the right section. So if it's a smaller section going down towards a boot cut or smaller going up towards the thigh, make sure and put that going the right direction. So I am then going to take this, let's turn it inside out. It'll make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to make sure that's flat. Then I'm going to cut myself. Now I'm including the seam in this because I've got it inside out and you can see the seam. So see, I'm allowing for that seam allowance, but I gave a little bit more since this is an overlock and I'm not going to use an overlock. So the first thing I want to do, let's disregard these pieces. Let's go ahead and move the machine around. Let's make sure everything is plugged in nice and tight. Now obviously you're going to want to use threads that match, but on purpose I do not do that. Let's take our fabric, make sure the part we want in the front is in the center. So I have this strip that is going to go around the leg of the pant. I'm going to fold the right sides together, and I'm going to sew it like a tube on a stretch stitch nice and wide, and then I'll go back stitch on each side, and there you go. It makes like a tube. So now I'm going to make sure, luckily where I cut it, it's even, so I don't have to worry about upside down or anything like that. Now I'm going to take the pair of pants where I cut it. I'm going to have that inside seam on the center thigh. I'm going to slide this piece down here. I'm going to open it up, make sure the right sides are facing each other. And put that into place here. I suggest you pin it. It's up to you if you feel comfortable with the fabric, because the Lycra tends to slide. So I always hold it in the place I need it to be and check it as I go when I'm doing something like this. If I'm doing a large group and everyone needs to look exact, I will definitely make sure and pin them all. So let's see, let's go ahead and sew this around like a tube. We're sewing the top part of the thigh first. There we go, we'll flip it up, and then there is your first part of the stripe. Now we're going to take the bottom pair of the pants. Want to make sure that that inside seam is inside seam. You don't want to twist the pant on that. And I have it marked so I know which one's which. It goes like this. We're going to turn it in here. Drop it into place. So if you feel more comfortable pinning, let's make sure we have that in the right spot. I would definitely say pin the inside of the leg, then go to the outside. Make sure that is even and taut. This is where you can fix it. If you see something's not right, this is where you fix it before you sew it into place. Now we're going to go half and half and pin that. And then on the other side, go halfway in between. Just make sure it's nice and fits in there nicely. You don't want any gapping or anything like that. And pin that there. Then I'm going to start on the inside seam. Right here, there we go. And this is the spot where you can adjust it if you see something slid. Okay. And I always like to see the bottom, like the very edge of it. That way I know I'm getting both pieces and it's not sliding around. And then make sure and pull those pins out if your machine cannot go over that stitching. Let's go. Keep it going around in a circle. And as long as you've cut it right, allowing for seam allowance, the hem should be even. And then there we go. We've put a little insert stripe in the pants. It is so easy to do. If you're looking for a little color, a little flair, this might be the perfect one for you. So have fun with it and send me a video if you make this pattern. I'd love to see what you do. Thank you for watching our video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure and click here to subscribe because we're going to have some amazing DIY videos coming out. And if you want to get our free complete dance costume DIY guide, click right here or go to bdancewear.com/DIY guide. And lastly, if you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks again for watching our video, and remember, be original, be colorful, bdancewear.com.